Welcome to True North Podcast. I am your host, Þórsmörk. Thank you for joining me today. Today's podcast is all about Iceland, and I find it kind of fitting as I sit here and record the final bits of audio for the podcast today that we are finally getting some snow here in the Chicagoland area. We'll see if they actually get and predict what, I don't know, I think they said like 6 to 8 inches, but we'll see. We'll see if it happens. "2025 has some real potential on the forecast for as far as wellness, travel, and adventure goes. I came across just recently the Global Wellness Institute. They released their top 10 annual wellness trends report for 2025. And it's no surprise that sauna reimagined is listed as number 2. I've been a fan of geothermal hot springs for many, many years now. It's really what eases and helps my achy body working in fitness and wellness. And I've been testing out a variety of wellness rituals that coincide when you visit a spa or a sauna. With hydrotherapies, both hot or cold, they are excellent modalities I suggest for most of my massage clients whenever they travel. As you know, traveling can be hard on the body sometimes. Being in an airplane when you're on a long distance flight, it's very drying. The seats sometimes are not comfortable. And if you're like me and you're a fan of adventure vacations, mixing in a spa or a sauna experience helps to heal your body so that you can come back refreshed versus broken from those adventure holidays. In August 2024, I got to experience and visit Iceland for the first time. I knew Iceland was renowned as a wellness mecca because of all of the geothermal pools across the country. Now, I know some of you have seen over the past year some of the news happening in Iceland, especially with all the volcanic activity around Grindavik, and of course some of the challenges that the Blue Lagoon has had. For me, on this trip, my focus was to actually visit some of the northern parts of Iceland. Summertime is really the only time that the F-roads are open or that the north is pretty much accessible for tourists. You can go to Iceland, of course, in any season, but if you want to get the full experience, going in the summer is nice because the days are also longer. And it's actually very easy to travel to Iceland and around Iceland. I had no problem with my rental car or driving. In Iceland, they drive like we do here in the United States. It's on the right-hand side. So if you're concerned about getting around, driving's not challenging. It's easy to do. If you are going to do some camping or even explore the F-roads, you do need to have a particular 4x4 vehicle. So just keep that in mind when you're deciding what type of rental car to get. The 4 main geothermal spas that I visited were Hamsvik, which is pretty close to Reykjavik. I headed up north and went to Mývatn. Lake Mývatn is also a very well-known recreational area, and I highly recommend getting up to the north if you have the opportunity. Vokbats are in the east, and that was the third one that I visited. It's a little different because it is out on a lake, but you'd still have your various geothermal pools that you can explore and then jump into the cold waters of the lake and then come back into the hot springs at Volk Baths. And then I ended with Sky Lagoon. All 4 had various pools to dip into and out of, as well as the very unique scenery that Iceland naturally has. My 2 favorites were Mývatn nature baths because of the blue waters, and then also Sky Lagoon, which is where I ended. Sky Lagoon is a great alternative to the controversial Blue Lagoon. You don't have to ask me about the controversy. You can go on many travel blogs and even on Reddit, and you can see that locals naturally avoid Blue Lagoon. Sky Lagoon has a unique 7-step ritual. It is a lovely addition to just soaking in the warm thermal waters. It's very healing for your skin, and it's just a little extra pampering that you can give yourself. I'm going to give you a little preview of some of my experiences as I drove around the Ring Road. So one of the first things that I decided to do as soon as I got to Iceland is go to Hamsvik Hot Springs. And you can see a beautiful area. Alright. Had my first hot spring experience. You can see Hamsvik in the background. I think I understand what people say when they say Iceland is beautiful. I'm finally on the east coast of it. Got the ocean, and then as you start to go and follow the Ring Road and you start to zoom in, you start to that. It is wild. Because I was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if I went to Iceland and ended up watching skiing? Oh, well, no. I hope you get to enjoy that little sneak peek around Iceland. There's absolutely no way that I could put all of the content in one podcast. But you can follow me around on my socials. I do post occasional photos and reels on there. My cat's trying to come over and hang out with us here. Anyways, so yes, I did actually get to see the eruption that started in August in 2024. I was laughing when I was up around Volk Baths. I said, wouldn't it be funny if I saw a volcano when I was in Iceland? And literally the next day we got the alert on our phone that, yes, indeed, there was an eruption happening. But the good news is, it's very well controlled and also informed. Iceland has a few apps called Safe Iceland, and you want to download those if you are going to be there because it will give you live updates weather updates, which is also very pertinent whenever you are visiting Iceland or driving around Iceland, because the weather can change at any time, and you absolutely must obey any warnings, because on the East Coast, which you could sort of see towards the end of that video, it's a lot of fjords, and depending on which way you go around the ring road, the wind will absolutely blow you off of the road if you are not obeying the traffic. So as I mentioned, I am a fan of adventure travel, and one of the key things that I planned on this trip, it was actually my 50th birthday trip, and I'm a huge nerd. I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. I've seen a lot of the sites in Northern Ireland and Ireland. And Iceland, oddly enough, a lot of scenes were filmed in and around Iceland. There's a bunch of bloggers out there that have already geotagged and showcased places that they've gone and suggested to go to. It would need to be a well thought out itinerary if you plan to see every film location, so I only focused on a few. And as you continue going back down south from the East Fjord region, you get to a town called Hutsvatnir. I know I botched that, but that's okay. And in that region, there is Þórsmörk National Park, which both Game of Thrones and a few other well-known films were filmed there. It is also a very well-known hiking area. And oddly enough, you need a very, very special 4x4 to even get into the national park. The river crossings in Iceland are no joke. Even your basic 4x4 Jeep might not be able to handle it. So as I did my searching of tour groups that could potentially take me in and around there, I came across Midgard Base Camp and read all my reviews, did my research. Not only does Midgard offer tours that will take you in to various parks there, but they also are a restaurant and a hotel and hostel. I had an amazing experience in my bespoke tour. It was myself and maybe 6 or 7 other people that took the Super Jeep tour. Not only do they take you in and show you some of the famous sites, but we got to do a little hour's hike. And I will say this, you should be relatively active if you're going to take any type of tour that is going to offer some type of walk or hike. I personally feel that you want to get the most of your money if you're going to do something like that. So just keep that in mind, read the reviews. If you think you're slightly relatively fit but could improve upon that, spend 5 to 6 months prior just getting in a few hikes or walks around your neighborhood to help you be successful for tour day. So I was lucky enough this past January, I reached back out to Midgard Base Camp, and I was able to sit down and do a Zoom meeting with Hildur and Stefan. They are 2 of the owners and family members who created Midgard Adventure Company. If you are thinking or looking for both a tour company and a place to stay, 100% hands down, book your stay with Midgard Base Camp. It's maybe about 2-3 hour drive from Reykjavik. You could absolutely take a simple tour bus and it could drop you off pretty close to the base camp. And then you could easily find your way to the base camp. They sometimes, depending on the length of tour that they are offering, if it's a longer tour, they can arrange to come and pick you up at Reykjavik and then drive you there. But of course, you want to look at your budget, your time frame of your travels, and the type of adventures that you're interested in having. We are going to tune in now to some bits from my interview with Midgard Base Camp.
That's good. Really good. It has been beautiful so far in 2025. Like amazing light, amazing northern lights, amazing nature. It's been really, really beautiful.
Oh,
yeah. So
yeah.
Very cool.
One thing that I know that you guys treasure, because it's something that's very common where you're at. Where here in Chicago, it's pretty gray. hasn't been like too wintry either. So we're just waiting for it to officially start. But
yeah, I actually after I moved here to the countryside again, then I love that. I just actually like January. I used to dislike it a lot. But it's so much nicer when you're so close to nature, and especially when it is, because often January is it's properly cold. So there is actually snow, and I love the snow.
You do? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I think you have to, otherwise you wouldn't live here.
No, otherwise I would not.
That's very true.
I love the cold and the snow, so I'm happy with this.
Okay. So I wanted to, first of all, say thank you for creating Midgard. I visited there in August this past last year, and I was highly, highly impressed with the whole facility and had a great time on the tour. And when I decided to start doing blogging and doing podcasts, I thought, I really want to be able to kind of have tour companies or things that I found interesting for a variety of reasons. So I'm happy that you guys have agreed to come on and chat with me and actually tell a little bit more about who you are, why you decided to create Midgard, and a little bit of your own kind of backstory of what you actually do at Midgard. So I'm wondering if you guys can just give a little introduction of yourselves, and then a short history of Midgard, because I know that it's got a pretty extensive history as far as the base camp and then the tour operation and the restaurant even.
Mm-hmm. Me. Yeah. So originally Midgard was founded as a tour operator in 2010. My cousin funded it, and then he was only 23 years old.
Okay.
And this a week before the eruption here in Eyjafjallajökull. And he had talked quite a lot about it with me and my friends and my husband and my mother-in-law, and it was like a big idea that he had been kind of walking around with for a year or so.
Yeah.
And my friends that are from here, we were all like, really, do you think Hvolsvöllur can be the middle of the universe? Because I don't know, we didn't see it with his eyes. I of course obviously like this place, but I had moved away and I lived in the city, and I was not planning to come back here to the middle of the. And then he founded he started the company, and a week later it erupted in Eyjafjallajökull, and then he thought it would all stop.
Yeah.
Then my husband joined him really shortly after this, and he was actually very keen on it. He also saw the potential in this, with the location, because we're located very close to a lot of the main sites on the south coast, and it's the enter to the highlands, which we love. But and then after the eruption in Eyjafjallajökull, then the tourism boomed in Iceland. It was a massive increase in tourism. So suddenly tourism was the biggest sector in Iceland. And of course, Midgard grew in with that as well. And in like Stepnir, our friend, he was also running the business with them for the first 3 years. So there was like Siggi, Atti, and Stepnir, they were doing this together. And then in 2013, me and Björg, my mother-in-law, we started as summer employees. And Björg like became the CEO of the company and was is still the CEO of the company, and like we've been here ever since. I was just planning, and Björg actually as well, just to try this out for one summer.
Okay.
And so then it was just super fun, and obviously it just became like a family company. And like in 2015 we needed like an investor to kickstart Basecamp, which was like, because then we had bought this house. It was like an old concrete factory that hadn't been used for a very long time. And so my uncle, Svenni, who's Siggy's dad, now it's like a family tree.
Yeah.
He had this house originally, and he told us it was like a very well-built house and we should definitely buy it. So we bought it, and originally the idea was just to keep the be able to clean the cars inside, and be able to store the cars here, and like hopefully one day open up a guest house, or like and then Steppi came along. Like Atti, my husband, introduced this idea to him and was trying to sell him the idea, so he brought him and his family here to like show him the house.
Okay.
And it was super like ugly at the time. It hadn't been used for a very long time. It was like a mess, like a dead mouse there, and he was like, yeah, this could all be yours. Not very convincing, but you were convinced.
Yeah, exactly. Should I continue from here, or maybe a little bit? So I am Swiss actually, and we have met I don't know, now 20 years ago or something like this.
Wow.
I was doing an internship here, so we have met and we have been in touch since then. But then I came with this family visit, and Atti told me I could buy this all if I want to. I did have some hotel background, quite interesting for me. And I did tell them I would love to invest in, because I did like the people behind it. I thought I would give them some money, and maybe teach them some skills in a hotel or whatever. Join them for 3 months, I said. And then it was just delayed, these 3 months, and it was like half a year and then a year. Now it's 8 years, and I'm still all my money and all my knowledge, and now I'm still here. Now, basically, like everyone here, it's just like we all end up saying we're going to stay for a week, and we just stay forever. That's how many of us have been like this.
Sure.
And we have opened Midgard when it was very raw. Now it is much more developed. It's much more a cozy place. It's much more a concept altogether. So we have, of course, the restaurant, which has been a struggle for the first 3 years, I would say, like a big struggle. But now it's off, and it's like we are super proud of what we serve. We are number 1 on TripAdvisor for the restaurant of whole South Iceland, which is beautiful to see people come here for the restaurant as well. We have events. We have the biggest stage of South Iceland. We have the big artists of Iceland, which is Hildar's husband. He's a sound engineer as well. So he has all the connections to get this amazing artists in-house as well. And now it's much more of a concept, and it's just Midgard is at the heart, and like we do everything that we basically like. We don't offer anything that we don't like. We only do what we would like to experience ourselves and what we like to do as a daily job as well. So
we wanted to create like a concept. It's always been like we don't just want to have like a guest house or a hotel with like no personality. Like I want to have this concept like the whole way through. So today we are like a tour operator, we're a travel agency, and like a guest house, hotel, and then accommodation, and this restaurant, and the event place, which is like Steppi mentioned, which is like a super fun part of the business is the events. It's also like it gathers like the locals. So the locals come for the events, they meet our travelers. So it's like a place for the locals as well. And that's very important for us, that we actually have a place for the local people as well.
Yeah, I did notice that when I stayed. I think it was maybe the second night when I was eating dinner, and I did, I traveled by myself, so I got to sit and actually observe and enjoy like the little bits that you could pick up on. And that really stood out to me as far as how much enjoyment people in the community, as well as just people who were staying there or people who knew of the restaurant. And that you don't see that very often in a lot of outfitters. So that was very apparent in making that all come together. I think when I was emailing Harpa, she had asked, if I had eaten there, and I said, yes, I had 2 breakfasts and I had 2 dinners. And I think I was laughing the second night because I wanted to like try something different, but the burger that I had from the night before was so good. I'm like, I'm going to be boring and I'm going to get the same thing. But I noticed on your website how much you value talking about avoiding food waste and making sure that that is also part of your green approach towards the facility. When you said that you struggled a little bit with the restaurant, was it just like outsourcing and bringing things in, or just getting word of mouth out there to the community?
Kind of everything, like coming up with a concept, like what food to offer. Mostly probably staff, which is always the issue here on the countryside anyway. Like you have to bring in people from far away that you probably have never seen before, only online. You don't know how they cook or who they are, how they fit into the team. So that has been a struggle, and we didn't know what we were looking for. Now,
Sure.
it is very much that we basically just say, like, it doesn't even matter really what you have done so far. It's just that we like you, that we have a good vibe together because we spend so much time together, and everything we do here can be learned. Like, even in the kitchen, the recipes are straightforward now, and like we are proud of what we have. It's easy to learn, and everyone can learn it that wants to learn it, and that fits into the team basically. So,
and we have like the concept of the restaurant is that everything is made from the scratch, and we use local products as much as we can. And like Kalle, who designs the menu, he has good connection with the suppliers here in Iceland. So he's always figuring out a new way to like he takes some things off the menu and puts in something that is Icelandic and like ethically resourced. So he like puts a lot of thought into that. And then we have great people in the kitchen. Like we have really, really good chefs that've been with her for a while, and they are like fantastic and following this through. So like we have those key people. So of course, like when we get the new stuff now, it's a lot easier because they just learn from them and they know what to do. Sure. But in the beginning, we didn't like know this.
I also think our values, to be honest, like we have never talked about our values until some point, and now it's almost the main thing of the interviews with new people is always about our values, and they need to fit. Yes. And if they fit, you have already a lot of common things, and yeah, you're gonna work out probably well together if the values fit. So
sure.
Yeah. And I mean, in the beginning of running, we didn't know how to run a restaurant. No. So we had like hired in 2 chefs to design the menu when we were opening the place. And then there was like a soft opening supposed to happen in March, but we opened the place up in May. So we had people on payroll from like February until May. Oh, then when we finally opened the restaurant, she quit the same day before. The day before. The other one we had to let go. So it was just like and we had opened for lunch. We didn't have traffic for lunch. So it's like just the economic side of it was just like, it was not good for some time. And then of course we had COVID in between. So
right.
And it was just completely different to run a restaurant compared to like a travel agency and a tour operator. So we thought it would be like, easier, but it wasn't. And it is a struggle to run a restaurant in the countryside where you don't have this steady traffic. So like it's difficult, like during the slower month, how are we actually gonna make money to survive the winter? You have to use the money that you get for the summer kind of to survive the winter. And we're always struggling with this, like how should we keep it open? And we want to like create all year round jobs. So sure. This was definitely a challenge, but I think we're getting a little bit
much better.
Yeah, we're getting much better.
Okay.
Hang of it.
So, you mentioned trying to be an all-season facility all around. What would you say are some of the new things that you're going to be bringing in or trying for this tour season coming? I know summer is obviously the busiest, I would assume the busiest time for your outfit, but is there anything new that you guys are trying for this year?
Well, I think we are emphasizing a little bit more on the Northern Lights than we've been doing before. Not necessarily doing like a Northern Light tours, but that we are emphasizing that this is a place to come and check out the Northern Lights, because like a lot of people come to the north to check out the Northern Lights, and we just want to, like, you don't have to go far. It's just like we don't have any light pollution. You just come here and enjoy it and relax and like do all kinds of winter excursions. So we're focusing a little bit as well on the winter and the shoulder seasons, just like we have a lot here, so you should definitely come here during that time as well. And then like
the hiking trips, of course. I
Yeah.
mean, like, yeah, that's also something that like Hildur, she wanted to do more hikes. It was not really a hiking company until then. It was mostly super cheap. And we started operating hiking trips. And now this is, you're basically spending all summer hiking
yeah,
on multi-day hikes, which
exactly.
is super nice. And this is an
Yeah.
amazing stuff to have, basically. So,
Yeah, we focused a lot on the hikes, and we're always thinking of ways how to like maybe minimize a little bit the impacts of our diesel trucks, because that's not sustainable travel way, but we still need these trucks to get us up to the highland, but we want to do more of the hikings when we're there and more of the
Yeah.
hiking the inlands, and eventually we're gonna get some more greener vehicles in the future. That's our hope.
Yeah.
But this is like, we're thinking of ways how we can do actually a lot of the tours that we can on like hiking, because we love hiking, and that's
and maybe also for this year, I mean, it's just still focusing on what we're good at and do more of it, kind of. And I mean, this combo thing that we talked before, this is just also giving us so much flexibility. If you're like coming with us for 5 days, and we are in charge of the tours, accommodation, and the food, because we have it all in house, it's so easy to adapt to weather change or to change of plans in your mind or whatever. And I think this makes us very unique compared to the big players out there.
and
Personal service as well.
Yeah, we are like we always try to describe this intangible things that we have, like a personal service, like an authentic, and it's like it's difficult to say that we're authentic and personal. It's you can't really describe it properly, but we do that well, and it just like you can see it on our TripAdvisor comments and things like that. That this is something that people actually do experience when they come here, and we want to just continue doing that and continue doing things that we think are fun, because that makes the place more fun, and it's more fun for the staff, and it's then more fun for the guests as well. So we don't want to be too mainstream or sell out. We just want to do things that we actually it's of course we need to make money, but it's really valuable that we have fun along the way as well, and that we are educational. We want to focus more on like educating our guests and have like educational trips and everything at our place, that we're educating people about like regenerative tourism, which is super valuable for us. And I think that's something that maybe we stand out for, because we put a lot of emphasis on this regenerative tourism, and that's like the core in all our business, and we try to create awareness, both at the restaurant, on our tours, and we want to connect people to nature, and we want them to respect nature, and want to teach them a little bit of this, and that's what we're focusing on, I would say.
Yeah, I can definitely personally vouch that the way that you project yourself from a traveler's point of view who's never met you, never seen the facility. When I was doing my little bit of research of what I actually wanted to do when I visited, your website and social medias and all of that, it really it does the job that you are wanting to convey to people who don't know you yet. Because once I got there and enjoyed the stay and took the tour, it stood out, I think, the most for me out of all the places that I visited there. So if that's any personal feedback to you, outside of like what TripAdvisor and all of that says, and social awareness isn't the right thing, but social feedback is something that I feel a lot of travelers who don't necessarily want to book through a big name tour company, they are going to do that research, and they are going to see that this is real feedback from other travelers. Even on Reddit, there is some good feedback about your outfit. And before I took the Super Jeep tour, I was like, oh, I don't know what's it really going to be like. And so I just do a little search on Reddit, and you can see that there's a lot of good comments on there, and people really loved the Super Jeep tours on there. So if that's any consolation, there are some other patches of information out there on the internet about the tours.
That's super fun to hear. I mean, we value that a lot, and we thrive on this feedback, and of course we try to do better.
But we also try to never oversell us, rather always surprise people positively. And this is always tricky, to be honest, because you do want to say what you are and what you offer, but you still want to be humble and have the surprising factor. I love checking in people and then showing them the hot tub upstairs with a nice view, or even northern lights going on at the same time. There's it's such a nice feeling that you get when people see this and don't expect it, kind of. And yeah, we definitely want to do more of this as well. Just keep on getting better without being too loud about it. And just
Sure.
Then we wanted this year to be, what did we say again?
Stay humble but bolder.
Yeah, because like with our
I like that.
sustainability and regenerative activities and stuff like that, we feel like we need to be bold and say more what we're doing, and because to create awareness and teach people, but at the same time we can be humble. But I think a lot of people they're surprised, they don't realize that we think so much about sustainability and like regenerative activities, and that's like, so we need to do a little better there, like in telling people what we're doing. So
Well, I was noticing on the website, you guys won a few awards. I don't know if it was 2023 and 2024, but can you tell me a little bit about the Icelandic Soil Conservation Award that you won in the last couple of years?
Yeah, we won that last. No, it was 2023. Then we won the Soil Conservation Awards, and it's the first time that a tourism company receives these awards, and it was for like education and like a virk sjálfbærnistefna, like a sustainability policy that we're actually following through. I don't know how to exactly. Yeah, we won that, and then we did also get like nominated for like this Icelandic inspirational awards for like sustainable tourism, but we didn't actually win that. We were on the top 3, but so
that's still good.
It's still good, and we got like a grant and participated in a European Union project about like renewable regenerative tourism and circular economy. So we've been doing like quite a lot of these projects now that we think is also very vital. Just like also it's really good to meet other companies in the same industry and see that we have like-minded people out there and like connect, networking.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you do a lot of hiking while you're at work, but what do you two personally like as far as your own travel? I don't know how much time you actually get to take off and away from when you are working there, but do you have any favorite places either in Iceland or anywhere else that kind of models the same approach that Midgard Base Camp does, that you like to go and adventure and hike with?
I'm going to start because I'm going to say mine otherwise. No, for me, I am obsessed with Fjallabak, which is this area behind here. It's behind the mountains. It's this flat black sand deserts with the green mountains in it. You see the glacier views. It's just like views forever and ever. Like there's not a street close by. It's completely different world. You feel completely alone. You never see other people there. And I have become like obsessed with like climbing each mountain there.
Okay.
And doing one, and the views is always better and better from each top that you go up to. And it's just, this area is absolute dream. And yeah, but of course there's so much more. But I mean, I moved to Iceland to see Iceland.
Right.
I'm still focusing only on this area here because we don't have enough time. There is so many corners, and you go up a mountain, and on the top you see the next mountain. It's like, oh, I need to go there next time.
Now, is that a new tour that you are offering for this season? I noticed that was not listed when I was looking last year.
Yeah,
we had it last year.
We have Fjallabak both super cheap open, and that's like a sightseeing on the Fjallabak, which I highly recommend people do because there's a lot of sites that you want to see there. And then we have Fjallabak hike, which is the hiking portion of the, like, then you go and you hike like one mountain. Maybe you don't see as much of the whole area, but you're focused on like one area. And yeah, that's a tour that we offer. Then we have the sightseeing version, and then the hiking, I think it's only private now. But yeah, and we're trying to emphasis a little bit on this area because like Landmannalaugar is a very popular destination here in Iceland, and that's also in the highlands. But we feel like Fjallabak is like an undiscovered pearl, and like it's not a lot of people that go up there, and we love to go and take people to places where there's very few people, and that's my favorite places in Iceland and my favorite part of Iceland. Of course, I'm from here and I grew up here, and I haven't seen all of the places here. I have a lot of things that I want to visit. I love Fjallabak as well, like Steppi. I love hiking, so I just love going to a new place, new top, somewhere in the middle of nowhere where you don't see anyone, and I feel just so grateful when I'm up there and so amazed. Like we're so small, and the nature is so much bigger, and I get this like bliss feeling, and I like that when I'm out. But I also get that in the winter time. I do quite a lot of like cross-country skiing as well, like more like, you know, not the competition one, more like traveling slowly with a pulka or something. And if I go in the highlands where like there's no one, almost no animals even, I mean, I get really amazed by that. But I like traveling around the world as well, but I don't go to the same places again, except maybe Switzerland, which I love. That's because I go
No, but it's so easy here as well. Like we often just like follow a river. I mean, you might see Seljalandsfoss over there, and then we just wonder like what's above it, and then just keep on walking. And there's so many more waterfalls, and that's basically what I would say on average we do on an evening. We just pick a river and follow it, and maybe jump into a waterfall or whatever. Like there's so much out there that is not on a guidebook or like, and we don't even know. The locals don't know. It's just like you just need to go out and explore yourself and find the spots.
Yeah, I think like it's being in the moment, just like be flexible with your itinerary and just like follow the weather a little bit and just spend time outside. And I have like kids as well, and we just spend quite a lot of time outside. That's just like what we like to do, and it's like both summer and winter. And I think it's just nice to do some exploring, you know. And I think it's also just the benefit of Iceland is also it's so super safe. We don't have a lot of wild animals, and like not a lot of dangerous situations here, so the water is super safe. Everything is very safe, so it's I think we benefit from that as well. It's no problem for us to just go out for a hike, but of course you should always, like, if you don't know the country, you should always have a guide with you. Don't go on a glacier, don't go in the middle of nowhere. The weather is probably the biggest danger.
I definitely I think I was pretty lucky in both visiting there and then even with the drive, but I personally couldn't imagine driving long distances with some of the weather going even up towards like the northeast, because I think if you're used to living and driving around mountains, it maybe isn't as daunting. But here in Flatlandia, that's what I call the area. We get winter and snow, but it's still that the roads are just a little different. And I'm glad that you mentioned that it still is important to go with someone or to book a tour rather than trying to rent the car on your own and trying to cross major rivers, because that is something that people who are adventurous, who do like to have that type of travel, I think they just don't know how gnarly the wilderness can be out there until they unfortunately get themselves in a terrible situation. So with the super Jeeps, what was the most challenging aspect when you first started to decide to do those types of tours and to buy the vehicles? Did you automatically knew what type of vehicles you wanted, or did you have a few, I hate to say it, trial and errors until you found what worked best for the company?
Yeah, there was definitely trialing errors. And like to begin with, the Siggi and Atti, they just used like Svenni, Siggi's dad's truck. And they just like learned by doing. They knew a little bit about cars, but they learned a lot by doing. And today they're like really good with it and they know how to do it. But it's difficult, like, because it's of course vehicles and they break, and it's really tricky to drive in these conditions. So you have to make sure that you have a really good guide driving the cars. And we've had like summers where all the cars are breaking, and often it is because like we maybe have to be careful, like to take proper care of them, and like, and that, you know, you have very qualified drivers driving it, and you become a qualified driver with, like, you learn by doing as well. So you have to train guides as well for it. And I mean, I am a truck. I have a truck driver license, and I need to drive the trucks from time to time to get to my hiking destinations. But I am not like a biggest fan of driving the trucks because it's like complicated vehicles, and you have to be extremely safe and careful. And of course, I do try to be safe and careful. But like when something comes up, it's really beneficial if the guide is kind of like a mechanic kind of as well.
Sure. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I mean, winter conditions are super tricky here in Iceland. And the more modified cars you have, it just creates more problems. So we have now decided on like not buying as modified cars, and rather we do like, because there's a lot of winter excursions that you can do without going all the way, you know, into the most trickiest parts of the highlands. You know, there's a lot of sites that you go to that you don't have to have these big, like super modified cars to get to. So that's kind of a focus now, to have it a little bit less modified. It creates less problems and it's easier to drive, and you get to most of the places that we want to go to. And it's also better for the environment. So it's like a win-win situation.
It's kind of a little more focus on where you're going than how you're going there. Like it is because you're coming here for nature, you don't come here for the car that you're sitting in. So it's like
and it's so I would say, but the challenge was just like it was definitely a challenge to figure out what, and we're still figuring out what cars are the best. And it's like it's a big investment, and it's you know, it's tricky to find the right people to drive it, that actually, because it is a big investment and it's really expensive to lose cars from the business, and that can be like you know, very, very tricky. We had one like constant failing of the cars, and that's not only because of bad drivers. I'm not saying that. It's also just it's a machine that just like eventually gets old, you know. And that's a very expensive summer for us, because this is like, you know, a big part of our business. So, it's stressful.
Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I do truly wholeheartedly appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. And I hope that this is maybe another opportunity to help with getting word of mouth out there in a very different manner. And I am hoping not this summer, but maybe next year to be able to come back and do more hiking in that area, because I was definitely fascinated when we went into Þórsmörk, and I thought, okay, I need to come back and do a little bit more exploration. So I hope to see you maybe in 2026. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your morning and your weekend, Hildur and Stefan. I appreciate it.
You too.
Nice meeting you.
Really nice meeting you.
Take care.
Thanks again for listening to this podcast number 3 about all things Iceland. We hope that you feel inspired to go and visit Iceland, or to take on any trip for 2025. Always remember to incorporate some type of wellness to your travels. Our bodies and our minds need this type of stress reduction, whether it be at home, on the road, or for your future wellness needs. Thanks again for listening to True North Podcast. You can always contact me through my socials on Instagram, Facebook. You can read the blog on Substack, or you can simply email me at truenorthmediacompany@gmail.com. May you have a warm, relaxing, and safe remainder of your winter. Cheers!